Namaskaram to everybody. Today I felt that I should give some insights on the Bhagavad Gita, as the Bhagavad Gita becomes a very prominent text for yoga and a very, very important text to be read by any yoga practitioner. So let me look at the text a little more in detail with reference to many verses, and at the same time also trying to bring out the essence of the Bhagavad Gita from the lens of yoga. So if we look at the Bhagavad Gita, we can divide it into four segments with respect to yoga: Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and finally Dhyana Yoga. Some schools of thought they divide it only into three segments. That is also accepted, wherein they don't consider Dhyana Yoga as something separate. So if we look at it, there is a reference this by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, wherein he actually relates the Mahavakyam Tattvam Asi to the different chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, wherein he has divided it into six segments each. As we know, there are 18 chapters in the Bhagavad Gita, and you can divide it into three segments, considering six chapters each in every segment. So the first six talks about Jivatma. So Tvam, it talks about Tvam or the Jivatma. The next six chapters talk about Paramatma or Tat. And the last six chapters emphasize on Asi. So Tattvam Asi. Asi wherein there is this oneness between the Jivatma and Paramatma. If you look at Advaita philosophy, they consider oneness between the Jivatma and Paramatma. So now let us get back to the four major yogas in the Bhagavad Gita. So why is it called yoga? Because the whole purpose of any Vedantic knowledge that we see is to achieve this knowledge of the union between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. So when we see the context of the Bhagavad Gita, we know that Arjuna is on the battlefield and he's in a state of dilemma. And on the other side, we have the Kauravas who are waiting to wage a war against the Pandavas. And we have Sri Krishna Paramatma, who is there to guide and who is there, who is always on the side of Dharma, who is protecting Dharma. So he gives the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. This we are aware of. So first, I would like to take Karma Yoga because action or the action of yoga, what it is popularly called, because Arjuna is supposed to fight in the battlefield. So Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. Let us look at Karma Yoga first. So Arjuna is reluctant to fight. And Shri Krishna tells him about the importance of action. And why is karma important? First, how do we look at Karma Yoga? Why is it important? Now, verse number 3.5, 3.8, 4.12, and 3.37 speak about the importance of actions because our actions are the starting point. And some of the verses also go on to say that one cannot exist for even a single moment without performing action. That is one of the verses. Nahi kaschit shanam api jatu tishtatya karma krit. That is verse number 3.5, wherein they say that you have to engage in activity. That is what this verse specifically emphasizes on. There is another verse which says that for the purpose of survival, one needs to perform action. Nityam kuru karmatvam karmadhyayo hya karmanaha. So that is how the verse goes about. And we have another verse which speaks about achieving success through action. Siddhir Bhavati Karmaja, which is verse number 4.12 speaks about this. Then there is another way of looking at karma, wherein there are 5 different approaches to karma yoga, how we can look at the importance of karma yoga. So we all know this very, very popular verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which says, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, which is verse number 2.47, wherein Krishna says, perform your actions without any attachment to the fruits of that action or the results of the action. That is what he says in this verse. Then there is another verse which defines yoga as well, along with karma yoga. Yogastak kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjayah siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga muchyate. Perform actions without attachment to the results. Okay? And accept whatever comes to you with a state of equanimity. This equanimity or the state of equanimity of the mind is itself called yoga. So samatvam yoga muchyate. And there are a few other concepts which are coming into picture here. First one is action without the attachment to the results. Next is verse number 2.31, which gives the importance of swadharma. That is, you have to perform certain actions because it is your duty. And the duty of a Kshatriya here is to fight. So that is another way of understanding. So whatever actions that we perform, if it is our swadharma, we have to definitely do it. And karma also, it should be done with a sense of responsibility. Swadharmam api chavekshya. This is how the verse goes on, 2.31. Next, verse number 3.9 talks about yajna. Yajna, as we know, is very, very important in the tradition of Sanatana Dharma. So, yajna also could mean the attitude of giving back to the society. There are Pancha Mahayajnas in our tradition. We will look at it a little more in detail in my next videos. Today, I will not go into detail in this. So, as actions, do actions in such a way that it is a yajna or an offering or giving back to the society. That is how you can perceive it. Then there is another very, very popular verse. Why should you do actions? Because you become a role model. This becomes very important if you are in a very, very important position in the society. And imagine the state of Arjuna. Arjuna was very, very important, and his actions will become an example for the common people as well. Yad yad acharati shreshtaha tat tad eva itarah janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanu vartate. So, do an action, whatever actions the important people perform, the others take that as an example, or as they become the role models for them. So it is important. If you fight today, you set an example for the other Kshatriyas in the future in certain similar situations which could come up. Finally, there is also somewhere an overlap between karma yoga and bhakti yoga in this verse number 12.10 and 12.11, which says that you do an action as an offering to the divinity. It overlaps with bhakti yoga. Your actions by surrendering to the divine. Do it with an attitude of surrender. So it also touches the concept of Vishishta Advaita here, wherein you're doing actions as a surrendering activity to the Lord. So what is the outcome of karma yoga? Why should you do karma yoga? Because one becomes free from the clutches of kama and krodha and the other kleshas. Kleshas are certain mental afflictions in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So the mind is gradually becoming pure as you continuously perform actions, with an attitude of surrender. And when the mind becomes calm and is freed of the kleshas, it can grasp the higher truths of life. So, therefore, I would like to conclude this video by saying that it is extremely important to engage in action following the ideals of the Bhagavad Gita. Once again, thank you so much. Namaste.